Times are changing. Ladies can do stuff now.
What? Were you saying something?
We got some more proposals from the lunatics in government. America's daughters shouldn't be drafted against their will. So conservatives, people on the right, are fighting this Democratic push to require women to register for the Selective Service. I don't think so. I don't think so. So a lot of you served in the military. I haven't served in the military. So I have my opinions on this. Just from looking at this is just another reason to break apart the nuclear family. This is another reason just to provide more bodies to fall before these petro wars. All right, just sacrificing more people. If a female wants to serve in the military, I think if a female wants to serve in the military, that's fine. But honestly, I really do not. This is just my personal opinion. I'll explain it. I do not think women should be serving in combat roles because they're not as strong. You're weakening, okay? Physically weakening the unit in many, many ways, not to mention sexual tensions, other issues that can arise from this. You're just tiptoeing. You're tiptoeing. It's a very gray area. And I'm not saying that women can't do it. However, you all know that they're lowering the standards in order to get into the military. They want more people to join, so they're lowering the standards. I think if a woman can actually pass those standards, the standards for all military men, women, if they can, maybe surpass it, why not? But you shouldn't be lowering standards to allow more people to get in, men or women. And just because women are not producing testosterone like men, you're just not. If you need to climb over a wall, all right, if you need to climb over a wall and a woman's trying to grab your hand and she doesn't have the strength to do it, that's fucking dangerous. Okay. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link and has nothing to do with me being misogynist, has nothing to do with me being sexist or thinking women can't do a job. Maybe women can. Maybe they could be in a command center, but a combat role is what I'm talking about. I think that's a very dangerous thing because you are weakening physically. It's just a fact. It's just a fucking fact. Okay. You put a woman against any man for physical undertakings. Very rarely will you have them surpass. And it's just evolution. Women are not supposed to be doing, in most cases, you have the Viking warriors and Lagertha. If you watch, the show Vikings, they're savages. I'm not saying all women. It's just a very gray area. Where do you draw the line? I just don't think that, I don't know. If you want, it's just, these are just initial thoughts, but it also leverages the same kind of breakdown in our society. All right, let's just kill off more women. The only people that can have babies in our world are women. The only people. I mean, in many ways, that makes women more valuable than men because the women are the only ones that can reproduce. So I don't think we should be sacrificing our 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old women for wars that in many ways, no one should be fighting. In many ways, we should not be involved with. And this has to go with money and control and power and shit like that. But just because some politicians in Washington, D.C., big pharma, and these big companies and all these people that are trying to leverage power in other countries, why would be sacrificing our women? Why should be sacrificing the only way that we can? And we're not even having children. We're actually losing population. We're going to have a population issue because newer generations don't want to have kids. So this is actually compounding the problems. So I think if women want to serve in the military, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We're talking about combat roles because you know where it's going to go. It's going to keep on going that direction. And as we kind of move closer to a war or conflict with either Russia or China, who's to say they're not going to, obviously they're doing this for a reason. Something's on the horizon. Something's on the horizon. And if you don't sign up for it, that's a felony. Whether or not they prosecute or not, they can always prosecute whenever they want. So what are your thoughts? Drop in the comments below. I think if you have a choice, I think if a woman wants to, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think there's a very good argument against combat roles, but I don't think there's anything wrong with women serving the military. I know many of you do or have, and fucking respect. Let's give a round of applause for women in the military and all service members. There's nothing, look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But like the strongest woman might be able to match maybe the weakest man. And it's literally what I always say, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And physically, it's a danger. Physically, it's a risk. And you're putting the entire unit, forget the fucking, you're putting men at risk. You're putting the entire unit at risk if you can't physically handle a task. And there's a reason why men produce testosterone. There's a reason why men always went out to hunt. There's a reason why men have always served in the military, because we're stronger. It just is what it is on average. It is what it is. And we can sacrifice men. Unfortunately, like, men can be sacrificed more readily than women, because you could have one man and 100 women and you could have 100 babies. But if you have no women, you ain't having any babies. You ain't having any reproduction. You ain't having any more women or any more men come into this world. So goes to show that we should be protecting. Remember all they say, protect the women and children. Why? Why do you want to protect the women and children? Because they're not able to defend themselves the same way. Women are more nurturing. Women tend to nest and have children and be very, you can multitask because you're watching kids and you're X, Y, and Z and you're taking care of the home. That's not traditional. That's evolution. It's not traditional. It's evolution. So, it comes down to logic and common sense and biology, which of course today we know that most people don't want to address biology. Biology doesn't exist. It's just a figment of our imagination, and you can be whatever you want from one day to the next. We know how it works.
Chicks will dig you, or dudes, or whatever gender thing you're into.
So I don't know. Drop in the comments down below. What are your thoughts? I just don't like this continuous push to, there's nothing wrong with equality, but a lot of women that are fighting or have fought for decades or whatever for more equality are going to not like this too much. It's like, well, do you want to be equal or not? you want equality or not? Let's look through this a little bit. Senate Armed Service Committee on Wednesday approved a controversial provision in the National Defense Authorization Act. It would require women between the ages of 18 and 25 with the Selective Service System to register for possible conscription to the military. Current law requires all men who reach the age of 18 to register, who would then draft them in case of an emergency. And in 2015, the military lifted its ban on females serving in combat roles, and women's groups have been urging Congress to change the law. I don't know. I do not know. I don't know. There's one thing to be equal. But we're not equal. Here's the thing. We're not equal. Men and women are not equal. And you might be like, oh my God, he just said men and women are not equal. Are we? Are we? Equal in what? Like, should we have equal rights to vote? Sure. That's fine. Like, what kind of equality are we talking about here? It's the same kind of nonsense as, for example, I was laughing or joking about the WNBA, that people say, well, the WNBA or women's soccer should be paid as much as men. Well, they would be if more people wanted to watch it. If WNBA stadiums were packed to the brim, they would be getting paid a lot more, wouldn't they? They'd be getting paid a lot more, but they don't fill up stadiums, so they lose money every fucking year. That's it. It's just fucking facts. It's the reality. There are a lot of women singers. What about Taylor Swift? She seems to pull in a pretty penny. Jennifer Lopez. These ladies tend to pull in a lot of money. Okay. All right. Let's say Nicki Minaj or, I don't know, any of these artists or actresses. Fine. They're fine. If people want to see them and people want to pay them money, they're going to make more money. But if you're not making a good enough product, people aren't going to want to go see it. So Taylor Swift will sell out fucking, I don't know, she'll sell out a fucking Applebee's like in 5 seconds. Anything that she does, she'll book because people want to see it and they'll pay a lot of money. And they might not go pay and see some kind of like new male artist because they're not that good. Makes sense. You're making a better product. You have more attention. You're more celebrity status. And that's that. But if the product sucks, why should you get paid more? Right? People don't want to spend $100 for a ticket to go watch layups. It's just the fact. All right. So if it's more riveting and it's more exciting, people will go see it. When I say equal, they're not. We're not equal to women. We're not equal. And fucking, that's great. That's great that we're not completely equal. And I'm saying, on average, men are stronger. That's not equal. Just because you want women to be stronger on average doesn't mean they're going to be. Fuck, men are not equal to each other. A lot of men are stronger than me. A lot of men are weaker than me. We're not equal. We're not equal. A lot of men are taller. A lot of men are taller than me. A lot of men are shorter than me. We're not equal in height. Like, why can't we use our brains and be like, oh, that makes sense. We're talking logic here, fam. It doesn't mean we don't have equal rights. It doesn't mean one person's less of a fucking human. Everyone wants to extrapolate this to like, oh my God, you're not equal. You're mean to me. You can be a little bit more analytical than that. You can be a little bit more objective than that. We're not being subjective. We're being logical.
We stay woke, but y'all sleep. Real emo, but y'all sheep. Out in public, she a good girl, but at the crib, she a real freak. New throne for the new king. Same kid, now my streets go. Same gang, got the cheat code. I said stay woke, we in real emo. I said stay woke, real emo. Stay woke, real emo. I said stay woke, real emo. Stay woke, real emo. Hey, y'all some jokers, y'all a bunch of clowns. You will not get a laugh out of me. You can talk, but you can't denounce. I live a different theology. Why I transferred to a new account? You just fucked over a prodigy. Posted up with a rented crown. You are the king of apology. You about to see a new side of me. I hope you know. We stand up and watch our enemy go. Empire fall, my legacy grows. I might just hop on this melody flow. All this vision, no clarity though. Y'all play